Good. I like your windows.
Yeah, I'm still in the office.
Oh, you're still in the office?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought those were your home windows.
No, not yet. I'm not there yet. One day. So I don't want to hold us up too much. I know we started off a little. I had to figure out what was going on. I actually never been on IG Live as much as people think. I'm not that fluent in IG literacy. So
well, I had our director to kind of make sure. Hey. I had our director to make sure that I was able to get on without issue.
Awesome. Well, listen, let's go ahead and get started, okay? Because I know there's some people that are here that want to know what you know about financial literacy on our Financial Literacy Fridays. So just a little bit of background, like, you know, the NAACP, of course, we want to make sure that all of our students, not only are they active, right, and that they're activists, but they're also concerned with their money and understand how, you know, economics plays a huge part in liberation and in freedom and in just enjoying oneself in general. So let's start off with a little bit of background on you first. I mean, we know we have the script that shows the life of Miss Karen Boykin-Towns. We want to hear from you. You know, who are you, and you know, why should we listen?
Well, I'm not really sure why you should listen, but what I would say is that ultimately, at the end of the day, I'm a wife, I'm a mother, I'm a daughter, I'm a sister, I'm a friend, and I'm someone that has sort of lived a life of experiences. And in doing that, I've made some mistakes, I've done some things well, and, you know, I've tried to, you know, pass that on with what I've learned. And so, you know, I'm not Tiff the Budgetnista, you know, so I'm not, you know, I'm not Susie Orman. I'm not, you know, I would not call myself a financial expert, but I will say that I've done pretty well for myself. I've learned a lot. And I think that having one teenager who's 17 and another one who is another daughter who's 23 and in the workplace, I've been able to instill into them some values about money and how to think about it that, you know, will hopefully set them up to do even better than my husband and I have.
Awesome. So leading right into that, you said that you had, you know, children that are, you know, are different ages. Well, you know, the Youth and College Division has a plethora of ages. You know, you got students that are in high school, that are just getting into high school, trying to figure out, how do I save in my piggy bank? You got, you know, students that are going off to college, like, you know, this will be the first time that they're, you know, quote unquote free. How do they, you know, handle their money, right? And then you got students that are going straight into, you know, the workforce, or, you know, going straight to grad school. So in all of those levels, right, what would be the one piece of advice you could give to students that want to learn, at least get the front door open? You know, a lot of our communities don't really talk about, you know, financial literacy as much as we should, right? So what would be that one piece of advice you would give just starting out?
I think that regardless of where you are, and certainly at each milestone, there's something different to be focused on. I think at the end of the day, there needs to be an understanding of you don't have to spend it all, and you shouldn't spend it all. That from the very beginning, even if you just have, I don't even know if there's really a paper route anymore, but back in the day, you know, people had paper routes. But even no matter what role you have, there should always be a component of your money that you don't spend, that you squirrel away, that you invest, that you put to the side, so that you are always in the mindset of not spending everything, and whether it's saving and or investing. So I think that's just basic.
Baseline. All right.
Yeah.
So we've learned, so say for instance, we're taking your advice and we're learning how to save, right? And so we're saying, you know, whether it's I'm working, you know, a side job and I'm getting, you know, check every 2 weeks and I save some of that, or, you know, I'm in corporate America and I'm getting a salary and I'm saving some of that, right? From there, right, what next will we do with this money? Like, what next do we do? Because, you know, I think we get taught a lot of times that, we work hard, we save hard, and that's how we kind of climb up, the social scale. But that's not always true. That isn't the whole truth, right? Like sometimes you have to make your money work for you, right? And those are conversations that we don't always have. So what would be the next step after that? It's like, okay, I've saved my money. I got like that 3 to 6 month cushion that they tell you about that you should have, right? What then? What then do I do?
So now the 3 to 6 month cushion, that's not like for the person in high school going off to college, right? That's somebody
that's
like
true.
you. That's like you who graduated and they're getting a salary. So let's take it in stages, and let's start at the top. So if you're someone who has gotten a job where you're salaried and you happen to be in a company that provides benefits such as 401ks and or matching gifts and those sorts of things. I think what I learned was, that's kind of like free money, right? And not everyone has those sorts of jobs. If you work for, let's say, the state, and you have their sort of version of a 401k, they're not matching anything. You're just able to put it away and have, it be managed and, hopefully do well in the stock market and make money. But if you're in a corporation or a company that matches, you want to sort of not leave that money on the table. That's kind of like free money. You want to put up whatever at least the minimum is that they will match. And you want to do that even if you start day one. And even if it's not someplace where you plan on being for 20 years, even if you're there 3 years or even 2 years, that money begins to add up and you want to put it away. And I know when I was telling my daughter about this, when she sort of went to Microsoft, it's one of these things where you actually won't even miss it because it's taken out pre-tax. So if you do it soon enough, you won't know that you're missing that, $50 or $60, whatever it might be, in your check. So that's like one area, right?
Right. That's made it. Okay.
Right.
So college.
So now if you're in college, first and foremost, it's one of these things where you want to have a little reserve. Now, it might be a reserve so that, if you have a car and your parents aren't paying for like the maintenance on your car and your brakes go, you might not have to put it on your credit card if you have a credit card and incur that interest, right? And what I've learned from, young people these days is everyone, has a side hustle. People are like, there's a diversification of, their resourcing. So whether I'm learning. So, even if you have, a steady job, you got, you taking pictures on the side or, you dog walking, like there's a diversification and, don't knock somebody's hustle, So if you are doing some of that, to kind of take a portion of that money, and whether it is putting it in a savings account, and I know interest rates, you put it in a savings account, at the end of the day, it's not getting, if you're lucky, maybe 1%, and it's really not even that. But the purpose is you want to get it out of your checking account or out of the account that you're normally dealing in and kind of get it out the way so you're not tempted to spend it. Because I mean, if you look at it, everything now is designed to take your money and to make it easy to get your money, right?
That's right.
Between Uber, between Postmates, between
now you can just tap your phone and pay for something. You don't even have to get your card out.
and so it makes it hard to really know how much you're spending in a day, because it's just easy to kind of go up and swipe or put it to a machine or press a button. So money can leave you without you even realizing how much you've gone through. So that's why it's sort of good to put it to the side. And I know when I was growing up, it was all about saving, right? saving is important, but it's also about investing, right? Investing. And what could that look like? Whether it's putting it to the side to buy property,
Mm-hmm. Come on.
Whether you're putting it to the side to start your own business. But it's just important that you are mindful that you just shouldn't spend everything that you have, right, or everything that comes in, and be mindful of what's going out, because it goes out fast and sometimes you don't even remember.
Right. That's good. That's good. That's definitely good advice. I've definitely had those times. Still have those times.
Me too.
Yeah, just put my hand up. All right. So that's really good. And so all that knowledge, all this knowledge that you have, you didn't just kind of like wake up with it and was like, bam, I am
right.
the Karen Boykin-Towns, and, I know how to manage my money, right? So what were some of the mistakes, if you're willing to go into that, right? Or, what were some of the lessons learned that you learned early that helped you get to where you are, right? So it's one thing to say, maybe I should save like this, but we all have, different lifestyles, different, ways of going about the world. So how exactly, your experience personally, right? Like with finance, like how were you able to, you ain't got to tell me your credit score, your social security number. We're okay with, you don't have to tell me that. But how exactly did you like learn, this is how I should be managing my money?
Well, I will say, my credit score is in the low 800s. And I'm a little pissed off, quite frankly, because my husband's score is like 6 points higher than mine.
Okay.
And I don't even, and since I manage everything, and I'm not even sure how his credit score is higher than mine when I'm the one that kind of manages everything. So I'm a little salty about that, but it's okay. And maybe I shouldn't get into that here. But anyway, so what I would say is, I went to undergrad school, studied business. I got my MBA, and in none of those forums did I learn about finance, right, or personal finance, right? Personal finance. And so I didn't come from a family where, at the dinner table, there was talk about those sorts of things. But I will say my mom was a nurse's aide for probably 43 years or so before she retired. And, she didn't make a lot of money, but she was a real good person who knew how to budget. She knew how to do the things that she needed to do for us, meet all her responsibilities, and save. And so, I think I sort of got the basics from her. Didn't always practice what she did,
right.
Certainly you would have thought that, she made a lot of money because she was able to do all of these things, but she didn't. What I would say in terms of lessons, I remember when I finished college, I was able to start work immediately. I worked for my local state senator, and I was making money, and it was just me. I had no kids or anything. And I remember having great pride of being able to go into the store and, want something and buy it,
and get it, yeah.
And get it, right? No more layaway, right? I don't even know if they have that anymore, but anyway. And, and it didn't matter what the price was, right? If I wanted it, I had the money to do it. I think I learned as I got older that, people with money don't pay retail price, right? If you really about it,
if you about
it, you will either wait for it to go on sale. You'll do like my kids do, and they are always able to find a coupon. But I had to learn that, right? Because for some reason in my head, I thought, oh yeah, if that costs a couple $100, then, and heck, I was not making money like that to be spending it like that. So I think that was something that I learned. I think the other thing that I learned was having to kind of figure out how to navigate finances in a major way, meaning, you know, how to maximize my stock options, when to sell, when not to sell, you know, to get a financial planner, to be, you know, thinking about retirement, not when I was 50 or even when I was 40, but kind of getting a sense of, you know, squirreling away early what that would, you know, grow into if I left it alone. But if we're going to be honest, you know, a lot of people are really just trying to make it, right? Meaning, like, there's not a lot of extra for a lot of people. And so you think about, you know, to put away 3 to 6 months of your salary, that can be quite a bit of money. And it might be hard to do if you don't have a lot of disposable income. But if you know, have your side hustles and you make a couple of dollars on that end, you know, you can use it to give away, to put away. But let me just say, and I'm not sure how many, you know, Christians we have or whatever, but I do believe in tithing. You know, I do believe in giving the Lord his, that is his. And I believe that, you know, if you do that, then all of your needs will be met. And that's a level of faith. And that's something, quite frankly, just to be honest, when I was like in my 20s and my 30s, I don't think I really understood that. But when you know better, you do better. And I will say, I truly believe that. And, you know, for those who that resonates with, fine. But I just have to be true and just put that out there.
That's real. That's real. And thank you so much for that. That's why we called you here. You know, we know you're going to be just as you are. And I wanted to double back a little bit on something that you said. I know we only have, 9 more minutes, but I want to double back on something that you said. And it's about consumerism. And I think that's a lot of what's hitting our community, is that particularly, you know, if I'm being real, particularly the Black community, right, where we have a large buying power, right? Like, you know, our buying power is massive. Yet, you know, when we look into our communities, you know, it isn't the same, right? We don't see that type of like same dollar being put back in, right? So, you know, you have to, you know, of course, you're learning how to manage your finances on the personal level. But then let's bring it back to the social justice, right? Like, how do we do that? You know, how we as individuals, right? If we manage our personal finances, right, we then are supposed to help our community, right? That's the point, or at least a part of the point, right? So what do you suggest, right, moving forward, right? What do you suggest for our communities to be ordered to help themselves? Because we've done it before. You know, Black Wall Streets have existed, right? So what would be one of your suggestions for you, especially youth in college, right? How do we come together and say, you know what, I'm not only going to save $1 for me, but I'm also going to make sure I save, you know, $1 for my community too, so that we can all thrive together.
Yep. So what I would say is, and I know this happens probably a lot around the country, but I will just give a shout out to the Milwaukee NAACP branch, and my good friend and former colleague, Jasmine Johnson, taught me about an initiative they were doing back then called Recycle the Black Dollar. And it was about really ensuring that the monies that were being spent within the community, with those Black-owned businesses. And I think that's something that we probably need to be a bit more intentional about. I know that when we go to cities with our national convention, we are definitely looking to ensure that people have a listing of the Black-owned establishments in the city so that they can get out and frequent them. Certainly that's one way. And, you know, I'm here in Annapolis at our Region 7 Kritai, and I know you're going to get here tomorrow.
Tomorrow.
Tomorrow. But I heard several of the branches talking about looking to make sure that they're using their local, you know, Black bank, right? Where as a branch, they are doing their banking in their local African American banking institution. I just think that at the end of the day, we need to know that we have power. We need to make sure we're organized. And I know, I think of the post of my good friend, Tamika Mallory, who a lot of times is trying to ensure that, you know, for Christmas and Kwanzaa, that, you know, we're not shopping, that we are really trying to ensure that people know that, you know, we are not going to spend our money where we are not respected.
Right.
And, you know, some people do it, some people don't do it. But at the end of the day, until we get really serious in terms of these efforts, is when we will get the respect and the attention that we deserve when we are trying to speak out on these really, really important issues that deserve to be dealt with. But in the meanwhile, I think that we just all need to be cognizant of, if we all do a little, it'll add up to a lot, and we need to come together. So it's not just about the NAACP on our own. It's about us linking up with our sorority sisters and our fraternity brothers, you know, in Greekdom, with our other civil rights organizations, whether it be NAN or National Urban League or the Links, or, you know, there are strength in numbers,
right?
And we need to all find ways to continue to come together, and maybe come together more often in the work that needs to get done.
All right. Awesome. I think that's a great in Union Straits. I'm sorry, I'm reading comments as I'm talking to you. But yeah, I think that's a great way to like leave off. So if there's anything, I want to give maybe people a couple of minutes if they want to ask questions. You have a couple of minutes to do so. But if there are any, like, you know, any final thoughts you want to leave with us, the Youth and College Division, before you go back to being the amazing person that you are.
Well, let me just say that I am so excited to be asked by our Youth and College Division to, you guys are the coolest, and to, you know, I really kind of was showing off to my girls to let them know that, see, mommy really is a bit on the cool side, because, you know, I was invited to hang out on Instagram. But seriously, I do appreciate the invitation. I think the work that you guys are doing with these sessions are so important. I hope that there are a few questions, because this topic is so very, very important. And we all know, you know, Joteka Edie, who is at Lindup, and she saw my post that we were doing this, and she said how important this is and how she wants to be, you know, part of this effort. And she's doing great work around the country in terms of helping, you know, people, whether they be young or older, understand, be educated on this issue. So I think that this is just the start of more programming that can happen. And, you know, we just need to know that it is through our finances and how we manage them that will dictate how we are able to not just live, but be able to have influence, right? Because, you know, it's not just about trying to buy stuff. And whether, you know, I don't remember if it was Jay-Z or whomever was talking about, we need to, you know, be investing in art and property and all those sorts of things. But we also need to ensure that when there are candidates that are out there talking about the issues that we believe in, you know, freedom isn't free. So we need to, you know, investing candidates that believe in the issues that we believe in. We need to be investing in our organizations. And so that means by, I think a youth membership is $10 or $15.
Right.
It's $15 with a crisis, $10 is regular, and just, knowing that all of this is part of what it means to be engaged in our communities and help advance the conversation and the mission to, help make democracy work, as our president likes to say.
All right. Thank you so much for joining us today. We really appreciate it. That was so insightful, so helpful. Look, you better show out. You are. You better show out. So we appreciate you. Thank you so much. I'll talk with you soon. But if there are any questions, guys, feel free to hit up the NAACP Youth and College inbox if you have any questions as well, and we'll make sure we get to her. Thank you guys for coming. Thank you, Ms. Karen Boykin-Towns, for being here, and we'll see you soon.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good weekend.
You too.
Bye-bye.
That's awkward. Did I end it? Oh, that's awkward.